If you're working on a competitive landscape analysis, you've probably discovered that the internet is full of simplified templates and surface level advice. But the last thing that you want to hand to your boss is something that's, well, shallow, especially if your report has the potential to influence multi-million-dollar decisions. So to help you avoid that, I'm going to walk you through the exact 7-step process that I use to create an impactful competitive landscape analysis for my own organization at Klue. Simply put, a competitive landscape analysis is a method for mapping your competitive environment. It includes identifying your direct and indirect competitors and analyzing their market positions, strategies, strengths, and weaknesses, and then presenting that information in a document like a competitive matrix. And that's it, really simply put. Now that we're on the same page, let me show you my process for building one. Step 1, do an internal company assessment. So before jumping into competitor research, make sure that you have a solid understanding of your product, its capabilities, and the different use cases that you solve for. Here are some things that you should try and understand. Your ICP's problems and pain points, your value proposition, your product features and capabilities, and what channels your customers use to discover your solution. Step 2. Identify your direct competitors. This stage is all about identifying who you currently compete against in deals. To do this, dig into your CRM data and focus on pre-sale situations. Review your CRM data to identify competitors appearing in early stage deals. Look at competitive revenue data to understand who you're competing against most frequently. You also want to track who's regularly showing up in pre-sales conversations and discovery calls with a tool like Gong or Sales Call Insights. Personally, I prefer to do this using Klue's competitive revenue analytics dashboard. That's because it taps into my company's CRM and it helps me automatically spot competitors in our open pipeline. But you can also do this manually in Salesforce, HubSpot, or whatever other CRM you're using. So once you've mapped your direct competitors, it's time to find your indirect ones. Step 3. Identifying your indirect competitors. These are alternative players that might not necessarily show up in your CRM, but they still compete with you for your business. So how do we find them? I like to use 2 different types of key methods. So the first is win-loss analysis, analyzing the reasons that you've won or lost deals and who is showing up in your win-loss analysis. And the second is churn analysis, analyzing why customers leave your platform and who they're switching to. Now, here's what makes these 2 methods so powerful. They're based on actual conversations with your buyers. You're getting real feedback through interviews and surveys, whether it's right after the deal closes or when a customer decides to leave. Let me break down exactly what you need to do here. First is go through your win-loss interviews and note every competitor that gets mentioned. When customers churn, find out what alternatives they're considering and who they move towards. Keep a detailed spreadsheet of every competitor that you discover and document every competitor that comes up in that spreadsheet. So if you're a Klue win-loss user, dive into the platform's win-loss and churn analysis tabs to see exactly which competitors keep appearing in buyer feedback. Now that we've got the obvious players mapped out, let's talk about the competitors hiding in the shadows. Ooh, spooky. Step 4, find emerging threats. Emerging threats are up-and-coming players that could disrupt your market. You know the ones I'm talking about. We call them ankle biters in the industry. They're small now, but they can leave a mark if you're not paying attention to them. So here's how to spot them early. First, get your teams involved. Set up a competitive intelligence Slack channel where everyone can share insights that they're hearing. You can also do some targeted web searching using keywords related to your business. So AI research tools like Perplexity, they can come in handy here. And check your sales call recordings for any new names that might be popping up. If you're using Klue, make sure that you've set up competitor alerts and keep an eye on the Intel news feed. It'll help you catch some of these emerging threats automatically. At this point, your competitor list is probably getting pretty long. Let's organize this chaos. Step 5, categorizing your competitors by use case. So here's what works well for me. Instead of just looking at competitors as direct threats to your whole product, break it down by specific capabilities. So this gives you a much clearer picture of where they're actually competing with you. Let me show you what I mean by this using Klue as an example. So our platform has a whole bunch of core capabilities: market monitoring, battle card creation, intel distribution, win-loss, revenue attribution. And some competitors might only challenge us in one specific area, like market monitoring. Others might compete across multiple areas. Now, understanding this difference is crucial. Categorizing your competitors this way is really simple. First of all, list out all of your product's core capabilities, the ones that we talked about in step 1, then map each competitor to the specific capabilities that they compete with. Now that you've mapped which competitors operate in which areas, now it's time to start digging into those details. Step 6, create a micro-analysis for each product category. Analyze how competitors perform in that specific space. Let's stick with our market monitoring example from the previous step. For each competitor in this category, I try and answer questions like, how are they positioning their solution? What new features are they rolling out? And what are customers actually saying about their capabilities? And to answer these questions, I go into full hunter research mode. Here's what it looks like. Start with the obvious stuff. Their press releases, SEC filings, digging into win-loss interviews for real buyer feedback, checking review sites, LinkedIn discussions, and Reddit threads. Also seeing what industry analysts are saying about each player. That can be really helpful. And pro tip, if you're using Klue, our review insights feature can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It's gonna automatically analyze thousands of G2, Capterra, Trust Radius reviews and spot some key themes. Finally, it's time to take all this research and turn it into something that's actionable. Step 7, visualize your competitive landscape using a SWOT analysis. If this is your first time, I recommend using a straightforward method for visualizing your findings. So creating a SWOT analysis and focusing heavily on opportunities and threats for each of your competitive categories can be really helpful. All right, so here's some of the key actions in this step. Pull key findings from your category analysis, build your SWOT framework, and pay extra attention to the opportunities and threats. Those are absolutely crucial here. And there you have it, a complete process for creating a competitive landscape analysis from scratch. But a great landscape analysis is just one piece of the puzzle. If you want to keep up with the latest news, trends, and tactics in competitive business, check out our free newsletter. Link in the description below. And if you're a Compete Pro or a product marketer, you should also think about signing up for the Compete Network community. As a member, you can get connected with over 6,500 industry peers, access hundreds of hours of on-demand resources, and learn from some of the best competitive experts at exclusive events. See you next time.